Well, hello. This is the teaser video for this coming Sunday, May 9th, which is Mother's Day. I hope everyone is doing well. We are into the month of May already, so 4 months of this 2021 has already passed us. And Mother's Day, it's interesting. I'm not sure how it is for your family. I know Mother's Day tends to get a little more hype than Father's Day, and Father's Day is in June. But on Mother's Day, what do you think about when you think about Mother's Day? My passage for this Sunday is really two short verses from Proverbs. Proverbs, is a book of wisdom with little nuggets. I always think of it as like a fortune cookies. It seems like every two verses is another little nugget of wisdom. And I'm just using Proverbs 1, verses 8 through 9. Proverbs 1, verses 8 through 9. And this just talks about the instructions of your father and mother and how they grace, their instructions are worn around like a necklace or a garland. And it made me think, obviously, different generations will be listening to this teaser or listening to the sermon. So, raising of children has changed. If you're older, you probably was raised in a family that maybe had a little more discipline. I grew up in a military family, so discipline was a very strong part of our being raised. We were also taught to be very polite, sir, ma'am. This just how we were taught. And I know people commented to my parents all the time about how respectful their four boys were. Well, it was something that was ingrained in us and was taught in us. And when we look, the title of my message is actually called Mirror Image. And we need to understand our children will most likely reflect most of the lessons we teach them. Granted, you probably know some things your parents did and strategically chose not to do that with your children. I'll share on Sunday that I think my parents went to like 2 of my sporting events. And so I tried to make a point to go as many of Jen's track meets and races and events as I could because I know my parents did not go to mine. Now, one of the things I did get from my mom is my very loud voice. So I remember my mom coming to one of my basketball games and she was yelling at the ref so loud I told her not to come to any more. And I remember Jen telling me not to cheer because I was so loud that it embarrassed her. So I got that from my mom. But as we think about mirror image, what are we reflecting? Children, are you listening to the life lessons that your parents are giving you? The knowledge and wisdom? And are you taking any of those lessons forward into your life? I know as my daughter's almost 30 now, she's commented that she agrees with the way we raised her now more than she did when she was a teenager. Now that she has a son of her own and realizes, the challenges of being a parent and the reasons why you do things or put in certain rules. And as we become adults, we decide which rules and stuff that we're going to teach with our children. I know the world has definitely changed. With people, 2 households working or 2-income households, a lot of times kids are either are home alone until a parent gets home from work, or so you have a lot of that. You have a lot of the you can't tell me what to do, and our society frowns on some of the disciplines, even though whatever the discipline is. I know Scripture says you spare the rod, you spoil the child. But our role as parents is really to prepare our children to be adults. Adults where they can live on their own, they become productive, and they are able to have their own families. If you look, that's what Scripture talks about. It talks about that, when it talks about marriage, that they will leave their mother and father and go and be on their own. We are to be preparing our children so they can live on their own. We are not to be handicapping or crippling our children where they have to stay and live with us as an adults for their whole life, because that's not doing them any good. Now, it seems our society is a lot more acceptable of adult children living at home until they're late 20s or 30s or whatever it may be. My parents, their rule was you're out of the house at 18. When you're an adult, you can vote, and that's all my brothers. One went to college, the rest of us went directly into the military. Because as an adult, we had to be able to live on our own. So, what are we preparing our children? I know a lot of mothers nowadays seem to be upset when their kids go off to college and decide to stay and get a job and stay at the school, or they move away for work or whatever that may be. And I'm like, why are you upset? This is exactly what you prepared. That's what you're exactly preparing them to do. With the internet and phones, you can stay a lot closer than back in the day when I went to Hawaii in the military. There was definitely no just popping in to see mom. I'd call once a week or whatever. So it's interesting. So what have your parents, your mother, taught you as life lessons, especially those who've become adults? And, I know we'll have some kids at the service and their parents will be shooting them a look, but we're supposed to be teaching them life lessons and preparing them so they can live on their own. Have you done that with your children? Are they able to go and live on their own and start their own families and be productive? So what life lessons have your parents taught that you've passed on, and which ones did you kind of decide to tweak, or you weren't gonna do that? That's, when we are a mirror image, we are reflecting our parents. No matter how much we want to try to get away from it. I see parts of my dad and my mom in me all the time, and my wife has no problem pointing those out. So that's what I'll be talking about this Sunday. So everyone have a happy Mother's Day, and I'll see you on Sunday. Take care.